Coming up on Harvest, if you've ever asked yourself, why am I here and what's my purpose? Stay tuned. Transformation coach Isabel Hunt opens up about faith-driven success. And Pete and Pastor R.C. Blakes Jr. recently sat down in ancient Jerusalem for a look at why travel to the Holy Land is a must-do for every believer. And Brian Bush is on standby in Jerusalem with an update on the latest news making headlines in the Middle East. Stay with us. Harvest begins now. As Christians, we should all want to be successful in life, but how do we define godly success, and is it possible to accomplish it by age 30? According to Isabel Hunt, it is. Isabel is an author and speaker who travels internationally to share her message, the power of faith-driven success. So welcome to the Harvest Show,
Thank
Isabel.
you for having me.
Okay, so 30 years ago, I mean, not 30 years ago,
No, not that long.
30 years old, that's not too far
From where you are now.
From where I am
you got
now.
a few years to catch up. Yeah.
All right.
So Isabel, let's get your backstory first. I mean, how did you even start with this message of faith-driven success? I mean, that's the $10 million question. How can you be successful? Or let's even start with the first question. Why am I here? So that kind of started for you when you were 12 years old and had a vision, right?
It probably even started early on that because I had a very interesting experiences when I was a child. I always told my parents that sometimes I can see the world like in a snow globe and I can see everything. I was able to take in a lot. But when I was 12, I told them that one day I'm going to move to the United States. And for those who don't know, I'm originally from Germany. I moved here 7 years ago. And so I told them at 12 years old, one day I'm going to move to the United States. And obviously, when you're a parent, you're like, yeah, just finish high school. How about that? And so I finished high school, but always with this thought in mind that one day I'm going to move. And when I was 18, I literally left. I packed my stuff and left, and my parents said, you never even looked back. You just went straight through security, and you never look back.
And you said everything you owned could fit in what, 2 suitcases?
2 suitcases, that's all you can take.
So when you were doing that, now that, you know, of course you're not 12 years old, do you see God's hand in that?
Yes. Oh, yes. I never knew why I did what I did, really, because you don't have that awareness, because obviously you're not really being taught that from little on. So yeah, looking back now is like, I already knew that. I intuitively knew what I was really doing. I felt led and guided, especially when you're younger, you're more open to receiving. You are more in tune, while when you're older, there's so much noise around us that we can't listen anymore. We can't tune in. I mean, there's so many people that struggle with just sitting down for 5 minutes and not do anything. I'm like, no, I have to do something, I have to do something. Like, just sit and be still. I mean, even in the Bible it says it, be still and know that I'm God, right?
Right.
With your story, I'm thinking of Abraham, who, you know, Lord said, get up and I'll take you somewhere where I'm going to show you, you know, and you know, with your story and your situation there, it seemed like the drive that you knew what to do, but you didn't know the why. Yeah. You didn't know what the purpose was or what would become of it. So now, you know, looking back a little bit and having fulfilled that, not even desire, but that providential move. What happened when you came to America? What were you looking for, and what did that lead you to?
Interesting, because I didn't know. I didn't even speak English. I came here on an exchange program, so I worked for a family as a nanny. And I didn't even know what you're welcome means. I was like, why do people always say that to me? I don't get it. And so it was really hard. And I was like, okay, God, I don't know what you want me to do here, because I obviously don't even speak the language and I don't really have a message either. But I think at that point, it was just getting to know the people behind the country. What is it that differentiates us from European countries? Why is it different? And then I went back to Germany. I studied. Well, I rebelled against my dad and studied economics. I always had a heart for psychology, sociology. I started that when I was 12 too. But he always said, one day we're going to work together. I'm like, there's no way. we ever will. And so I studied economics, obviously. Yeah. Didn't work out, and I got into very deep depression. And then I started over with sociology, psychology, and that's when I knew this is something where I am going to get deeper into. And even back in Germany, I was surrounded by a lot of Americans, so I really was able to learn the language fluently, and then I came back 7 years ago.
So it's really a missional purpose.
Yeah, I almost would call it, I never called it that way, but yeah. Now that you say, yeah.
So Isabel, in the Power of Faith-Driven Success, you say this is your slogan: when science and faith come together, the impossible becomes I'm possible.
Yes.
Explain that for us, because sometimes when believers hear science and faith, the two don't go together. What say you?
I say they have to go together, because if we understand physically what's going on with us, how our body works, how our heart works, our brain works, and even everything around us, we understand the spiritual level of it. And that means we are able to tune in more, to be more intuitive and really listen to our soul. My coach always explains it to me that way. Your soul is what the Holy Spirit speaks through. It speaks a very clear language. Your mind is where your thoughts are going crazy, where you always go in different directions. So when we talk about faith, it is that knowing, that surrendering. I hear a lot of people talk about hope. I think especially nowadays we love the word hope, which is great. I mean, I really like the word too, but it gives us wiggle room for us to experience disappointment. I hope it will work out this way. Well, if it doesn't, then maybe it wasn't meant to be. I have faith it will work out that way. There is a way more empowering way behind that of speaking and how we express that we know. Because in the Bible, it talks about God already has a plan for you. The only thing we don't know is the time behind it. So that when we create success based on faith, we know that it already happened. And with that knowing, we send out that energy, that thought, because we really operate only on emotions. Our subconscious mind is what gives us the direction, and it only reacts to the emotion. And that is connected to our heart. Now, I don't know if you knew that, but your heart takes everything in about 5 seconds before your brain is recognizing what's really going on. So while your heart is already translating everything into emotions, your subconscious mind is already working and is imprinting those emotions. And that's the way you walk. So if you know and you speak faith, your heart knows that and it's imprinting that, and therefore you already are driven in the direction that you're supposed to go.
Well, I'm learning something, because I thought it was the heart that, the mind first, and then the heart, it touches the heart. But hold it right there. We're going to go to a break, and we'll let you talk more about the power of faith-driven success with Lisa Hunt. And we are back with Isabel Hunt, not Lisa Hunt. I called her Lisa before the break. Welcome back. Okay, so we were talking about how information goes to the heart 5 seconds before it gets to the brain and what that does for us, and connecting the dots with our success. Pick up from there.
Okay. Well, really, our life is all based on emotions. So emotion is a very strong vibration. From a quantum physical standpoint, you look at everything is based on molecules. Everything around us is a molecule. And it
butterfly effect.
Exactly. So it creates vibrations. So everything that we experience creates a certain energy around us, that what we give out creates a ripple effect. So we have to be very careful that that we let in is very important, and what we give out. So each word has a strong meaning. A lot of people say, I'm going to chase my dream. I always say, please don't, because you will never reach it. Because chase signals something in our mind that we don't have it. And when we signal something that we don't have, we wish for something, we subconsciously understand that we don't have it. So we go against of what we know God says, I already have a plan for you. So that creates confusion within what you know from within deep down to what you set your mind up for. So
rather than chase your dream, I'm living out my dream.
Pursuing, yes, exactly.
Okay, so you say that we can have a journey toward living your dream by 30. Why the age 30?
Well, for one, I work with a lot of young adults. That is
Okay.
also one thing. I speak at colleges and universities, and the research showed that they are more open to reading something that is really towards them, because obviously what I write about is not necessarily something totally new. It's just a different view on it. But their experience is that a lot of older people that write similar books, that they talk down on them. And that there's a saying, wisdom comes with age, which I totally do not agree with. If I look at my 2-year-old, I almost would say he has more wisdom than I ever do. But it has something to do with helping them to stay emotionally connected. Wisdom really just comes from within. And I really believe that even in your 20s, you can have more wisdom than someone in their 60s. And that's why by 30, when you really tune in and you learn to connect emotionally and on every level really within yourself, you're able to understand the dream that God already put on your heart before you turn 30. I feel like 30 is like that scare factor where people are like, I'm turning 30, I haven't accomplished this, and I don't have a family yet. So then they start panicking.
You mentioned that, I'm going to misquote you here, but something to the effect of, it's not what you know, it's what you feel.
Yes.
That really makes the important differences in our lives and how we fulfill our lives. Our lives are fulfilled. Speaking generationally to the generation that we have coming up, you mentioned that there's a lot of emotional disconnections in the culture and in the world and personal relationships that we have today. Why is that, and how can someone who is maybe oversaturated with all that's happening kind of just single in and get reset and refocused on making sure that those emotional connections are there?
Yeah. Well, what we see now is a very huge shift in our society. We hear that a lot online or anywhere really, how millennials are being called out. It's lazy and they don't really want to do the work.
Entitled.
Yes, which I don't believe is true. Probably with some of them, but in general, I don't think it's true. I work with a lot of young adults. What we actually see is a shift from profit-driven to purpose-driven. They're more interested in the purpose. They want to be part of something bigger. They want to be part of something that empowers them, that makes them feel valued and seen. Where the last generations, I think they're more profit-driven. I can see that, especially having my own business, where you see all those titles of how to make 6-figure business in 6 months, where I'm like, okay, just stop. It's not working that way. We are not driven that way. And when I teach at universities, I mostly have staff in front of me that are older, and all I hear from them, well, I just survive day by day, and then I look forward to retirement. Where younger people don't want that. And
It's more of a search for significance.
Exactly. And that is the generational gap that we experience, where the last time someone said, well, it sounds really great, but how do you implement that? It doesn't work in our society as it should maybe. Like, well, if you think that way, that's what you create. And so especially with young people, we see that they're more sensitive in what they receive emotionally. And they're more connected emotionally with other people, or at least they try, but they don't know how. It's like they're being told a different story coming from outside what our society values. And I see really a lot of selfish, narcissistic tendencies from what you see. And then there is that purpose within, and they feel that conflict. There's something within me, but there's that outside, and I'm getting confused.
Okay, so we've talked about the heart, the brain, sociology, psychology, and some other
Quantum
ologies.
physics.
Quantum physics.
Yeah.
So for the person who's saying, I just want to be successful, just kind of reconnect that for me, faith and success.
Success starts with your journey from within. That's literally, a lot of people just start from the outside, let me take the actions, and then eventually I get there. It really starts with the foundation. You can't build a house on sand and then it's wobbly. You have to build it on rocks. So that is your personal foundation. The more you understand what's going on within you, the more you're able to understand what's going on outside of you and how to connect with other people. And we all know if you want to be successful in life, you have to be able to connect with other people and be able to create relationships.
Okay, and the other thing is the power of the Holy Spirit and his role in our success. You hit on it a little bit, but I want you to unpack that a little more for us.
Well, our soul speaks a very clear language. So the more we tune in with ourselves, the more we feel guided from within. And that's where the Holy Spirit speaks through us. In the book I write about that, obviously we won't find a burning bush anymore or a fire cloud. You would have the fire department on your back. Right. Yeah, that would be nice, right? But I think people would just think it's a terror attack or something.
Right.
So that probably wouldn't work. But God still speaks to us through the Holy Spirit, through our soul. It's a very clear channel. Like people can literally envision it like a channel. To that, and the more in tune we are, the more we understand what is actually triggering us. What is it that we receive from the outside? What is really what we experience emotionally? The better we can hear that, the more we feel guided. I mean, we talk a lot about gut feeling, and that's exactly what it is.
Wow, thank you so much for sharing your insight with us, Isabel. The power of faith-driven success, a journey toward living your dream by 30. And if you're already past the age of 30, it is not too late. If you want to find out more, just go to faithdrivensuccess.com or go to harvest-tv.com for a link to Isabel's new project, The Power of Faith-Driven Success.